I'm calling this one Taking the White Pill. And we all know Tic Tac UFO distractions only briefly cover up bad breath, aka spirit. In Hebrew it's ruach, in Greek pneuma. We now call that breath, wind, spirit. I did a video about it a little over a year ago. Here's a short clip.
And the announcement of the coming of the Pentecost of the Holy Spirit, of a universal Gnostic awakening and an illumination. And so we see in the COVID masks and in the vengeance and hatred and fear porn of the media coming from many different ideological angles, a kind of anti-Pentecostal imagery. In John 20:22, Christ breathes the Holy Spirit on the disciples. The breath, ruach in Hebrew, and pneuma in Greek, the wind, the breath. This is an invisible fire, ether, a substrate to everything. And it goes all the way back to the book of Genesis, where many Christians don't know we see the introduction of the Holy Spirit. So this isn't a New Testament idea. It goes right back to the beginning of creation.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters.
So right out the gate in the Hebrew, we have Ruach in Genesis 1, the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit, God as Spirit, God as Creator, God as Son. So we have the Father, the Son, the Spirit coming from the one ineffable source. The breath moves. We can see it move the trees. The trees react. We don't know where the breath comes from. This is poetic imagery. But I believe this hovering over the face of the waters is not just poetic language, but like much of the language of the Bible, is embedded with esoteric science.
I believe the fractured understanding of the word that used to be ruach or pneuma or spirit, that is now wind and breath and spirit. 3 different words. Used to be one. This fractured understanding is at the root of our misunderstanding of symbolism and language in the media today. So I'm going to decode some things here. First, we need to be honest. Tic Tacs suck. They're not breath mints so much as minty candy in a cool little package that rattles for kids and babies and maladjusted adults. Once you pop, you can't stop. They're kind of addictive little candy. They're pills. You get addicted to them. It's opium for the masses, for the kids. Teaching kids to get addicted to little white pills. And we've got adults addicted to the little white lies from the government. Breath as spirit shows up as prevalent bad breath media symbolism, from COVID to Tic Tac phallic white pill space planes to a substandard response to bad breath. The masks, the Tic Tacs, the back and forth fighting. Are you going to take the red pill? Are you going to take the blue pill? Now people are taking the white pill.
November 14th, 2004. It's a clear blue sky. There's no wind. And you see this Tic Tac. It's just this white object that's randomly moving around.
The red pill, blue pill in UFOs reminds me of the redshift effect. Astronomers talk about how stars moving away or towards the Earth have a chromatic red or blue aberration.
I find you.
Pop quiz, hotshot. There's a bomb on a bus. Once the bus goes 50 miles an hour, the bomb is armed. If it drops below 50...
Red pill, blue pill. I took the purple pills and now I can't tell if these guys are leaving or if the aliens are coming. I don't know what's going on. We've got a Virgin plane getting into space first and then getting chased by Jeff Bezos' penis plane. Is that a white Tic Tac plane or is it a Dick Doc? I won't unpack that too much. I think you know what I'm talking about. Is he getting it up, his big white phallus? I can get up there too. Oh boy. Anyway, we've got some interesting anagrams I'll get into regarding the phenomenon of the space race, the new space race, right? Billionaires, pigs in space. So we've got the Virgin there first, and then Blue Origin of Jeff Bezoselbub. Jeff Bezoselbub. There we go. I just made that up. Isn't that funny? This whole thing's a fucking joke. So everybody's distracted by nonsense on Earth, and the billionaires can't get off the planet fast enough. So everybody's taking the white pill. You know what I noticed? Aside from the phallic shape of this balls and cock plane of Jeff Bezos, it kind of looks like one of those Tic Tac planes, doesn't it? I mean, are we foolish enough to think that out of nowhere at the worst possible timing, the government decides to declassify top secret UFO footage just to drive people crazy in the middle of a global crisis? What the fuck are they doing? I think I know what they're doing. They're giving everybody the white pills. There's a bad spirit moving about the earth, and we're going to distract you from it with a temporary tic-tac cover-up. I love how the camera footage can't stay focused on Jeff Bezos' plane there, the phallus plane, and it kind of looks like it's thrusting up and down, in and out. We're going to penetrate that firmament. The Virgin got there first, but, you know, Jeff Bezos has got the firmament sloppy seconds. You'll notice when we cover the government disclosures, they come from the Navy, and that's because NASA is a wing of the Navy, and getting up into the waters above involves aquatic vessels. So we've got Navy aviators. Now, the sunglasses are interesting, but the aviator sunglasses reminds me of the egg. Aviator, he ate her egg. Anyway, cracking the dome, cracking the firmament. You go up there thinking you're just going to start floating, and what actually happens is you get into the ether, and it's kind of like a different type of water that you've got to cut through. Then you're in this suspended animation for a while. That's one way to look at it, right? Is that what they were talking about in Symbol when NASA disclosed the Apollo astronauts ignorant of the Van Allen belts? How'd you get past the Van Allen belt? Oh, yeah, we didn't know about it, so it wasn't a problem. Mind over matter. So here's some footage declassified by the Navy, or the Pentagon, I guess. The Pentagon got it from the Navy. So these, I think it's interesting how they say this was during a flight training program. So the tic-tac, once you pop, you can't stop. Now I'm looking all over for these little things in the sky. Would the government have this kind of flying technology and then reveal it to other ignorant areas of the Navy and Air Force, only to help legitimize this? Or is it all bullshit? Did these guys really see this stuff? I don't know. It's pretty grainy, lo-fi stuff. Kubrick could have shot this. It would have been easier than the moon landing. So the U.S. Navy is said to have formalized reporting processes. Not the Air Force, mind you.
I did 5 cruises to the Gulf. I started right after Desert Storm. I had an entire squadron. I had 12 airplanes and 330 people. This is mine. This is what we typically flew at night. You can see these little brackets here. November 14th, 2004. It's a clear blue sky. There's no wind. And you see this tic-tac. It's just this white object that's randomly moving around. It makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up a little bit. I remember telling my back seater, I said, dude, I don't know about you, but I'm a little weirded out. It's not a helicopter. It doesn't have rotor wash. There's no propulsion. There's no wings. It rapidly accelerates and disappears. Like, poof, gone. Weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. I chased a UFO. But I like to just crawl back under a rock and be myself again. Yes. I like to just crawl back under a rock and be myself again. Yes.
So he tells you he wants to go back to being a reptile, a snake, or a little lizard, little reptilian fuckface living under a rock. Then he's priming his gas tank and gassing you up, symbolically. Take a look at the symbolism here. We've got a little bit of a disc, and he's putting it together. Of course, the gas says no spill. That's an anagram for on pills. The quick little out of focus, zoom into focus reminds me of the footage of the UFOs. So we've got a little gas tank UFO gassing you up. Yeah, I'd love to be a snake again and go back under my rock. But I gotta do the devil's work here, put my Nazi boots on and play lawnmower man. Mowing down the synapses in your brain while you're taking the white pills. What is it? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Is it super phallus? Is that what ISIS was looking for? Putting Osiris back together, she was missing one piece. It looks something like that. Now, as this footage gets more lo-fi, we get some chromatic aberrations. Some strange things happen there. And it reminds me of the Tic Tac footage. So they're showing you how they do the Tic Tac footage right on mainstream TV. They're telling you this is history. But I saw some of these guys zipping around on the morning of September 11th, 2001. So this is not new technology. And I don't think even mainstream people will believe that this kind of technology here for these reusable rockets, a detachable penis you can put back on, that's a sign of the times. We've got the Tic Tac and then the Dick Doc. There's the dick at the dock, and it's going to become a Tic Tac. I'd like to point out, too, the Tic Tacs actually prefer to spell their name with the lowercase t's, little t's. It's just a little tease of what's to come. It's a little tease. Of course, they repeatedly have to tell you how there's a curvature to the Earth you can see when you get up there. Based on the footage I saw, the Earth looked convex, or straight and flat, or curved and round like a ball, depending on what angle you were looking at it outside of the curved glass mirrors or whatever fabric or material they're using. So, again, upholding possibly false paradigms. I'm not a rock-solid flat earther, but it does seem to fit the Bible symbolism that maps onto everything else. And I tried to debunk flat earth a few years ago, and I couldn't. That was a wake-up call. I needed to rely on false paradigms, scientific materialism propaganda, and CGI bogus footage from NASA. So it looks like NASA's doing something with the Navy, and they don't want you to know about it, and they're getting into the waters above. Sometimes they're shipping those rockets off of Cape Canaveral or Houston and sending them right into the ocean. You know, they go up and curve, and people are like, oh, that's because the Earth is rotating and it's moving away from you. Bullshit. Get the fuck out of here. That doesn't even map onto the other paradigms of physics that they give us to explain what's going on. If it was a dream world, then I guess we could have the ball and the flat Earth concurrently, right? Depends on what kind of part of the dream you're having. Now we've got something that looks like an orb. You know, now these planes aren't zipping around right now, but they're not going to give you a full disclosure that, you know, at least for decades, the military's had hovercraft and craft that could appear just like these Tic Tacs. Now, what are they using for propulsion? I don't know. I don't pretend to know. I do know that historically we're not told all of the technology that's available, but it keeps getting rolled out in the form of consumer products well behind what the powers that be have access to. So we're being shown Tic Tac UFOs while the government's admitting they're real. People can't put two and two together because they're addicted to the white pills, little white lies. So Tic Tac UFOs. And when I think of taking a little Tic Tac to cover up that bad breath, I also think of the other evil spirit or bad spirit pattern that's pervasive across the planet, not just United States government releasing UFOs. If you take a look at the UFO footage, the UFOs seem to have a thing for the United States of America. I've never seen a whole lot of footage that I've never been completely compelled to think, oh, that's something that humans couldn't make. So, I don't know. I remain skeptical that there's visitors from another world. I think that, occasionally the seemingly futuristic technology of the government gets rolled out and creates a spectacle. When I think of Morpheus holding out the red pill and blue pill, I think of Christ holding up his hands and showing his wounds too. Anybody ever notice that? Morpheus holding his hands out. He's got a red pill and a blue pill. Oxygenated blood, unoxygenated blood. Anyway. We got red and blue states in the United States as well, so there's a lot of interesting symbolism there. Are you a Democrat? Are you a Republican? Neither of these pills are the truth. It's all bullshit. You're going to take the white pill, that's only going to cover up the bad breath for a very short amount of time. So we've got the COVID phenomena spreading across the planet, so we're told. And I'm preparing a kind of like a partner video to this one. It'll be separate but related, so this one will come first. But we're going to take a look at the disappearance of influenza in the statistics of the National Health Organization. So people are getting a whole lot less influenza right when COVID shows up. It's almost like influenza is the same as it ever was, and they gave it a new name. And now it affects your breath, or your taste buds and your smell. Your olfactory glands and your taste buds are compromised by COVID. That would be one of the main differences. So we have a respiratory illness, we're told. We're told it's a virus. Of course, we've been lied to about how viruses function. That's a rabbit hole worth going down for a few minutes one afternoon. Go check that out. For instance, we're told HIV is a STD and a retrovirus. Those are mutually exclusive conditions that we're told exist in HIV. Interesting. Kind of looks like we have the media targeting the whole populace with manufactured polarization. And that's a bad breath or spirit emerging in the people that are popping the heroin of the masses, the little white lies. Then we got the bigger lies, the red pill, blue pill, red state, blue state lies. So the media abounds with not just the manufactured polarization. I can't tell if I'm coming or going. Is this a red shift or a blue shift? Or I'm going to stay right here and look up at the little white lies so I don't experience too much of the reality hitting me that the globe is changing. The firmament or the dome-covered earth is changing. Our perception of the world and other people is changing because we're being changed by a spirit moving across the earth that reflects itself in the words of the liars who do the work of their father, the spirit of evil, the spirit of lies and conflict. Looks like we're getting primed here in the United States and in other places like Canada, Australia, lots of Western Europe, France, Germany, Sweden, the UK. Not just the Brexit and the refugee issues, but there's a malignant spirit that is growing, that's dividing people politically and religiously. The scientific community of scientific materialists, anyway, I should say. Science, the great scientists, we understand, were largely people of faith, like Newton, Galileo, Copernicus. But we're told, people who reject Darwinism are white supremacists. That's a line of reasoning from the Scientific American recently, and National Geographic and some other large science-y outlets have doubled down on that. Meanwhile, Charles Darwin was directly related to the fathers of eugenics in that era, and they were basically the logs that Hitler threw on his fire to keep his ideology warm. Also, interesting, the Galtons, the Darwins, and the Huxleys are all related. So we're living in a cowardice new world, similar to Huxley's Brave New World. People are too afraid to say what's on their mind because they don't want to get attacked by the woke police or the paradigm cops. The billionaires can't get off the planet fast enough. And these people are cool, they're heroes, they're hip and woke, but also, fuck these dudes. So there's some interesting contradictory paradigms. I think people responded to David Branson better because he's not bald and he's got a colored girl on the ship with him. So, the left will like him. And Jeff Bezos, he's got a cowboy hat, so, he's looking like he's straight out of Dr. Strangelove, learning how I learned to love the bomb. It's the subtitle, right? So I think of the cowboy hat and what's his name, riding the bomb at the end of Kubrick's interesting film there. We've got a Nazi in a wheelchair portrayed by Peter Sellers, who also portrays a kind of hapless, idiotic American president. So the white American is the butt of a lot of jokes. There's a lot more Homer Simpsons out there in the media than there are, adventurous pioneers of science. So Bezos brings a crew of white people up into space. He's a big dick. So that's some interesting symbolism. And his dick breath is, it's going to linger longer than the flavor of that Tic Tac. So the kids love the Tic Tacs, right? You pop a few. Oh, that's cool to think about. What if it's aliens? Conspiracy theorists will tell you the government and the media are liars. 4 decades later, the government and media are liars. A few months later, the government's going to declassify UFOs. Finally, the truth. So now they're ready to believe the government. Because why? Because it's telling them something they want to hear. I think the UFOs already hit the Pentagon. I think they're going to declassify why there's no fucking plane on September 11th in the rubble of the Pentagon. I think it was more like one of these guys. And maybe they're Chinese or Russian. I don't know. Maybe Philip K. Dick was right, and the dreamlike nature of this world has to do with a kind of simulation multiverse. He says, if you don't like this world, you should see some of the other ones. And that was the idea and thinking behind his stories of The Man in the High Castle, which was turned into a series on Amazon Prime that wasn't bad. And one of the chief Nazi officers and one of the protagonists in the film, or a sympathetic bad guy, I should say, plays a Nazi, but he's humanized. I forget the actor's name, but he's in Dark City by Alex Proyas. Interestingly enough, that was Dark City was the film that Alex Proyas did right after he did The Crow. So Brandon Lee gets killed on the set. Remember that? Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son, gets killed on the set. The son of a legend gets killed on the set. Set, as in the Lord of the Desert, the satanic figure in Egyptian mythology. So Brandon Lee gets killed on the set, then he comes back for vengeance. So real life events and the story of The Crow are enmeshed. And we have other actors playing the character Brandon Lee formerly played in sequels to that film. Alex Proyas then goes on to do Dark City, in which there are these waxy, bald Jeff Bezos looking alien type guys in trench coats. It's kind of like a proto-Matrix, If you look at that again, Dark City and the Matrix have a lot of stylistic overlap. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Alex Proyas was like the Ghost director and Ghost creative consultant that was uncredited, that works with the Wachowskis. The Wachowskis routinely have someone else doing the work for them. So, Tom Tickler, I forget his name, did the Cloud Atlas and some other work like Sense8. And that was also the work of J. Michael Straczynski, I believe, a former comics writer for Marvel. He did the Sense8 series that's credited to the Wachowskis, or the Wachowskis. So we have a lot of different co-creators involved. And when co-creators tap into this spirit of the ages, then that co-creative spirit that's embedded in the spirit of the age, as they say, leaves its fingerprint in deceptive media, like what you're watching here, as well as in entertainment and arts and pop music and all things pop culture. So you might hear the president say something, you might see something in a movie, you might see a commercial for something, and they all have this kind of subtle subtext where you're thinking, is this just in my head? Why is there Why is there a lot of dicks and white pills all of a sudden while everyone's getting sick? What's that all about? And then you might brush it off as a coincidence. If you spend time paying attention to patterns and you have a knack for picking up patterns, by now you know this is no coincidence. This is no series of coincidences. There's a hidden aspect to the language that I alluded to earlier in the video when I was talking about how spirit and wind and breath were all the same word, and now we have different words for those, for the ruach and the pneuma. So pneuma would be something you blow out your mouth, or God blows out onto the earth, or is a spirit that moves through the earth in subtle ways. You can see the effects of it, but you can't actually see the breath or the wind. And that's how this works in the co-creative faculties as well. You can see the effects, you can see the patterns, you can see the broken language coming back together when you say, spell things out. Tic-tacs. Then you think, okay, tic-tac UFO, tic-tac candy. Look at the candy. Look at its advertising. Look at the packaging. It's a baby rattle. It's not really good at it's not really good at covering up the breath. So here we have kind of like a half-assed cover-up of what's really going on. So maybe there's a Cold War warming up and we're testing out technologies. Or maybe there's a war for your mind and there's kind of a competition for it. You know, maybe people are under the impression the king is dead and now all the princes and former paupers want to rise in the ranks. So literally getting off the planet and getting a new perspective is something that's going to help them establish control of the hearts and minds of people. Or, you know, we're stuck here. You know, the one thing Alex Jones got right is maybe this is a bit like a prison planet. Although that could be a perspective issue too, right? Like, how big does the planet need to be if it's got a dome over it? How big does it need to be before it's not a prison anymore and it's a gift? So it depends, I guess, on what you need and what you want. If you're a billionaire that's got to, you know, do all this stuff, then I guess this would be a prison. But yeah, what I see is spirits, pills, distractions, language, symbols, all coming together. These are temporary distractions for the spirit of the age. It's a bad breath, a bad spirit, and this kind of stuff, these little white lies, these little white pills, this little kid's candy, baby rattles, tic-tacs, tic-tocs. The clock's ticking. This stuff isn't going to hold. There's something around the corner. Whether it's good or bad, I don't know. Maybe we're co-creating it as we are in uncharted territory. So I'll wrap it up there. We've got these independently non-governmental aircraft going up into uncharted territory. And we are down here ourselves in uncharted territory. So we're co-creating something that's kind of off the books a little bit. Patterns repeat, but there doesn't seem to be a hard script, more like an outline. So there's a desired outcome that's good for us, but in between here and that desired outcome that's beneficial for human life, there's going to be some perceptions of chaos. So try not to take too much candy. Try not to fall for the little white lies. Try to understand the red pill and the blue pill. The red state and the blue state are all bullshit. And you got to brush your teeth if you want to have good breath. You can't just cover it up with this little bullshit. Good luck with that. Thanks for coming out. God bless.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters.